Hi there. Today I'm going to talk to you about strategy and give you the big picture overview of what we're going to be talking about in this class. So strategy, it originates with the military between 400 and 200 BC. And we know that if you've ever watched any military movie, or if you remember from your history class, strategy is extremely important in a warlike sense, but also for battles. So these generals or commanders, or even back in ancient times where they had kings that they decided the strategy. That all of this was really important. To have a strategy was really important so that they could conquer their opponents. Now, if we translate that to something we might be more familiar with, if you played sports in high school or in college, or if you competed in some type of activity, say like in choir or a band, any type of competition, there is some type of strategy involved. Your coach, if you were in a sport, your coach had a strategy for your team or for you as an individual to win against your competitors. Similarly, in band or in choir, your teacher had a strategy on how you would win against other opponents. And so the central idea here is that competition, or this idea that we have opponents or competitors, is really central to strategy. Now, if we translate this to business, we can see that strategy is extremely important. There's over 70,000 books on business strategy. And the reason why I bring up this sheer number is the fact that so many people wouldn't have written about business strategy unless it was really important to executives and companies. So business strategy is really important, and we see that all of these books here you could look up and find, and they would be helpful for you potentially if you wanted to learn more about strategy. So those are some examples. Now, other agencies or other organizations may need a strategy. The example here is health agencies we're very familiar with right now because we are going through the epidemic of COVID-19. So health agencies, they had to determine a vaccination strategy. They also had to determine a strategy on how they were going to conquer the pandemic itself. So that was a whole different type of strategy for them to go through. Because if you remember early on, they had to have a strategy on how they were going to distribute those PPE. So different types of strategies were important for health agencies during the pandemic. We could also think of banks. They had to have a strategy to tackle the financial crisis back in 2007, 2008. Real estate investors, they have to have a strategy also to determine how they're going to grow their portfolio. So strategies occur not only in business, not only in the military, but they occur in multiple organizations. So what do you think it means when someone says this organization lacks a strategy? Well, by this picture, it means they're kind of lost, right? They don't have a clear direction, they have a lack of consistency, and that brings us to kind of the role of strategy, which is to ensure that all of the decisions fit together, which is similar to a plan. However, it's not a detailed guide. And that's typically what we think of whenever we have a plan. It's all kind of laid out in front of us, but strategy is not that way, right? We're going to develop a strategic marketing plan that has strategies within it. So a strategy is really it's a boiled down guide that consists of the most essential choices, actions, and decisions. And that brings us to our definition of strategy. It's the smallest set of choices to optimally guide or force other choices. Now, the idea here is that it's minimal, with maximal effect. So you don't need a whole lot to create a great major effect for the company. So with that, optimally means that it's the most desirable or satisfactory way to do something. So optimal set of choices. Now with forcing moves, what we mean here is that by forcing, you're causing your competitors to take action in the company's interest. So in recent times, we've noticed that fast food companies are reacting to this fried chicken sandwich craze. And with that, we've seen companies such as McDonald's and others introduce chicken sandwiches over the past 10 months. However, Chick-fil-A has been doing this for a long time, right? So because of the sheer popularity from when I believe it's Popeyes, they introduced their chicken sandwich in 2019. There was such a big craze of that it forced their competitors, even burger restaurants, to start offering chicken sandwiches. And finally, the last thing that is really important for our definition of strategy is consistency. So the idea here is that the smallest set of choices provides a big picture for consistency across the organization at a particular point in time and also over time, right? We're going to talk about strategic decision making, and with strategic decision making, these decisions are over a long period of time. So consistency is really important. As the old saying goes, consistency is key. So with that, we've given a big picture overview of strategy, and be looking out for the future lectures for this chapter 1. They're going to give you more insight into strategy, particularly marketing strategy and strategic decision making. If you have any questions about the big picture of strategy, feel free to email me at kt.manus@ttu.edu. Thanks. Bye-bye.